Roll that intro. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews, and here it is today, the BQEYZ Spring 2. So this is a triple hybrid driver in-ear monitor. Now, what exactly do I mean by triple hybrid? Well, these little guys have got 3 different driver types per side. They have one dynamic driver for the bass, one balanced armature driver for the mid-range, and a piezoelectric driver for the treble. For those of you who aren't familiar with piezoelectric transducers, they're a different type of driver that are particularly good at producing high frequencies. The one used in the Spring 2 here has a 9-layer ceramic piezo driver. So as you can see here, we've got 13mm dynamic driver. The frequency range is 7 Hz to 40 kHz. The impedance is 32 ohms, sensitivity at 110 dB. Okay, here they are. What you get is CNC crafted aluminium shells with this sort of attractive red highlight around the faceplate. These do come in 2 colors, so you get the black version and there is a green version as well. But they've got this nice anodized finish on them, kind of a matte finish. The faceplate is slightly faceted. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but there is a little bit of facet there. And in tiny little text just there, you've got BQEYZ on the right and Spring 2 on the left. On the inner side of the shell, there are actually 3 little vents, which is quite unusual, and an aluminium nozzle with the ubiquitous metal mesh to protect the drivers and the innards from your nasty earwax. The shells themselves are fairly lightweight. They feel really robust and durable. Very nice build quality. Not much else to say about the build. In terms of comfort, these are pretty good. They're not quite as stable in my ears as some other IEMs, but apart from that, they are very comfortable, and I can wear these for extended periods of time without any discomfort. Now, have a look at this beautiful cable. This is gorgeous. This is a 4-core single crystal copper cable. It is braided. It's nice and thick, but it handles well. It's quite supple. You get a matching aluminium plug and Y split. There is a chin slider there as well. And the cable handles very nicely, but it just feels great. It's nice and thick, but it is also nice and light. There's no noticeable microphonics or cable noise. This is almost like something you expect when you buy a cable from a boutique company. So very nice cable indeed. Now, before we go on to the sound properties, I actually just want to quickly go over what you get in the box, because I think BQEYZ did a really good job with the accessories. So first of all, you get this nice little zipper carrying case, semi-hard, so it'll offer a certain level of protection for your IEMs. But what I really like is the selection of ear tips that they give you. You also get this little cleaning brush, which is handy, I guess. I don't use them most of the time. But you get 1 pair of foam ear tips, and then you get 3 pairs each of these 2 types of silicone ones. One is atmosphere, and they kind of have the narrow, see if I can pull one out here. They have the narrow bore, and then you've got the what's called the reference tips, which have a wide bore. I prefer the reference ones myself, but really you should choose the ones that give you the best fit and the best seal ultimately. So there's not a whole lot in there, but I just think that's a good little accessories bundle. Gives you everything you need out of the box to get going. And I always like to see a a good variety of ear tips included. Right, so moving on to the sound of the Spring 2. They have a fairly balanced sound signature. It's quite linear, similar to the Tin Hi-Fi T2 Plus that I reviewed recently, although it does have a slight boost in the upper mid-range and the treble. Now they have a rather dynamic sound with good end-to-end extension, so the bass extension and the treble extension are both good. The level of clarity is good throughout. Everything is nice and crisp and clear and clean sounding. But the overall tonality is a little bit on the warm side. So you get this nice crisp clarity and a clean high-end, high frequencies, but you also get this sort of underlying warmth. And that warmth comes from the bass. The Spring 2 has large 13mm dynamic drivers that produce a pretty meaty bass. The bass is slightly boosted and it hits with significant impact. It's not the fastest bass, and the leading edge of the bass notes are a bit soft, but they're sort of delivered with a real gusto, and the bass has a real authority that you can sort of get down with. There's plenty of power there, plenty of low-end grunt. There is a bit of mid-bass bleed, but I found that a more powerful source or amplifier helps to tighten up the bass significantly. The transition from the mid-bass to the sub-bass is quite linear, and what that means is the Spring 2 has got plenty of weight in the trunk, and on some tracks it'll really give you some sort of serious skull massaging. It'll you'll definitely feel it when the bass kicks in. Onto the mid-range now. The mid-range has an organic quality with a fairly accurate tone. There is some warmth that's carried over from the bass, but the mids don't get smeared in the process. So although the tonality is quite warm and there is a bit of a bass bleed going on, the mids for the most part stay nice and clear. They don't get smeared. Like I said, these have really good clarity. They also have very good instrument separation and articulated vocals. The mid-range resolution is good too, and each voice or instrument is sort of laid out on a black background, so it all sounds nice and clean. The vocals and instruments sit just slightly behind the low end on more bass heavy tracks, but they're otherwise presented in a forward manner and rendered very smoothly. I found that string instruments like violins and cellos sound particularly good on the Spring 2. But in general, all instruments have a nice pleasing tone and sound fairly accurate. Right, now moving on to the treble. The Spring 2's piezoelectric tweeter is exceptionally fast, and it can produce frequencies that are well beyond the range of normal human hearing, which you probably already know is generally 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz for normal people. There's a slight dip in the lower treble which keeps things sounding smooth, but there is, at the same time, there's a peak at around 8 kilohertz that brings some notes to the forefront on occasion. And despite its relative forwardness, the treble has an evenness that prevents it from being strident, so you don't hear any sibilance. It's not a bright treble, though it is kind of forward. It is lively, but it's not a bright or a harsh treble. However, these earphones are not particularly forgiving on hotly recorded or inherently sibilant tracks, but for the most part it's smooth sailing. And for the soundstage is wider than it is deep. It reaches kind of to the edges of the headspace, to the sides, but it doesn't project all that far forward. The overall resolution and instrument separation are quite good, like I mentioned, but in terms of layering, they're fairly average. So to sum up, the BQEYZ Spring 2. What I like about these, I like the accessories. I really think the accessories bundle is well thought out and well put together. The build quality is exceptional. They are very good. You won't find anything better in this price range in terms of build quality. I love the cable. I love this nice thick supple cable. It's really good. I like the clarity of the earphones. I like the tonal balance. I do like that kind of boosted bass. I like the clarity from top to bottom that these give you, and overall I like the tonal balance as well, which is kind of a bit on the warm side, a bit on the musical side, but is still quite lively at the same time. Now, what I don't like about these, I think they could, although these are reasonably comfortable and they're a huge improvement over the earlier BQEYZ models that I've tried, I still think there is room for improvement in terms of comfort and a secure fit. While I do find them comfortable, I do think the shape and the fit could be slightly improved just to make them a bit more secure in your ears. And I do feel that just the leading edge on bass notes is a little soft. It's a little blunted. So I would like a bit more definition in the bass. But apart from that, these are a great set, and I think they're up there with the other leaders in this price range, including the ICO OH1 Meteor, the SimGot EN700 Pro, which are both single dynamic driver earphones, and the Tin Hi-Fi P1, which is a planar magnetic earphone. But definitely, if you're shopping for something in that price range, check these out. If you want something that's warm with this has got probably the biggest bass out of the bunch that I mentioned, maybe with the exception of the ICO. But anyway, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also come and join us on the Discord. If you're into Discord, come and have a chat with us there. And yeah, for now that's it, and until next time, I'll see you later.